Wukong is not Wukong? No, allegedly not, but you know, potentially really negatively in the other direction. This is a leaked document. I'm not 100% sure of the validity of this document. Like, if it's real, I do not know. It looks pretty legit. So, yeah, this is the launch campaign, August 2024, do's and don'ts brief. I get these all the time, obviously, for any sponsored content. This is how they tend to look. Confront destiny and delve into the enchanting realm of Eastern mythology. Marketing team, Hero Games, developer and publisher Game Science, official email. Let me see if that matches the email that I have from them. It does not. The email address that I have is game-science.online is who it's from. But, you know, very easily they could have multiple. You acknowledge you have been informed of the following content and your statements are not related to the marketing team. That makes it feel maybe a little fake. Enjoy the game! Do not insult other influencers or players. I've also never seen that in one of these before. Do not use any offensive language / humor. Do not include politics, violence, nudity, feminist propaganda, fetishization. Okay, well, then they would never want to sponsor me. And other content that instigates negative discourse. Wow. Do not use trigger words such as quarantine or isolation or COVID-19. Do not discuss content related to China's games industry, policies, opinions, news, etc. This, if real, is fucking crazy. What is feminist propaganda? Like, considering what we know the studio has said, or the studio head has said, wouldn't feminist propaganda really just be I like women, or like women play video games? That's pretty fucking wild. So in terms of does it seem fake? Yeah, a little. This doesn't like stand out to me as 100% real. Like, it's relatively legit. However, usually these documents are several pages long. It could be that whoever leaked this just posted one page, but they usually have like full breakdowns of how to play the game, how to defeat certain bosses that are difficult, like mechanics. Like, they're usually a lot more in depth than just one page. And I've also not seen this. Like, usually your dues would have a lot more detail than that. The dues would also say like, mention these specific things, play on these specific settings, play for this amount of time. Sounds a bit like standard don't insult the CCP stuff. I mean, sure, but it's actually not very standard. Like, if it is don't insult the CCP, I don't imagine that's uncommon for many a Chinese game, being that that's how they function, but it's not standard for video games. Why is the allegedly leaked marketing doc interesting? This isn't a marketing doc. It's interesting because it says these things, which is in order to stream the game, play the game, review the game, I'm not really sure. You are agreeing to never speak about politics or violence? Violence? That seems crazy. It's a game where you kill things. That would be hard to do. Feminist propaganda, again, you're gonna need to tell me what that means. Fetishization is a tough one, okay? I will fetishize anything. How dare you? And other content that instigates negative discourse, which basically means do not insult the game in any negative way. But listing out feminist propaganda is fucking crazy. This is the Reddit page where I found the doc. That, yeah, they're acknowledging it is an unverified source. But yeah, this is unfortunately a French creator, so I'm not able to verify that either. Like, the only thing about it that looks real is the layout. That's how they often do these, but it would be a strange doc. But reviewers are given different guidelines to content creators. I've never received anything when doing a sponsored stream or having a sponsored stream key that says that I can't talk about specific topics. I've never had that. Some ask for less swearing, and I usually try to swear less on sponsored streams, but otherwise they don't ask for any of this kind of stuff. There's not like nothing. None of that has ever been asked for. And they also like aren't allowed to tell you. I think this is actually illegal. Technically. I mean, that wording might be fine. But the thing that a lot of people don't know about sponsored content is that they legally cannot tell you to say something you don't believe. And I always push really hard back on that. Like, if I deliver something to a sponsor and they go, hey, could you change the language of this? And I'm like, I'm not saying it if I don't believe it. Absolutely not. It is illegal to tell you something you don't believe. So the minute that you push back on it, they have to go, okay. Because they can pay you to talk about a product. They cannot pay you to lie about a product. Don't know if it's a love thing. You just can't lie about it. If you don't like it, you can't say you like it. Is this the new Stellar Blade, a completely made up controversy that isn't really a big deal and ultimately the game is just fine? No. I do think Stellar Blade was that, right? Stellar Blade controversy blew up because of one guy running IGN France, which is not IGN, that everyone blew up to say, look what IGN said. IGN France is not IGN. He said some really stupid shit, And then it blew up as all games journalists hate the game, even though they all gave it solid reviews and none of them mentioned the titties. That one was fake controversy. This is a little different because like the studio does have a kind of hairy history that again I still don't feel super well versed in. Read some of it yesterday, but people keep saying it's mistranslated. Like it's also just tough to talk about this shit because again, I think whenever sexism does exist, people will say no, it doesn't. Like it's so weird to me that people act like sexism doesn't exist at all. Really? Never? Under any circumstances? Just never real? Are you high out of your mind? If it's real, it's addressed. That's not true though, Scott. Like the way that PR for a lot of companies works, you're not supposed to address anything if you can avoid it. Any controversy. There's this dumb thing that like is attributed to me that has made a bunch of huge news headlines where somebody just misheard what I said. And I was like to the corporation, I was like, hey, can I correct this? Can I just tell them that this isn't what I said? And they were like, no, don't address it. Because, and that's the thing that I deal with as a content creator all the time, right? If you address something, you make it way fucking bigger. Like, especially if you have a bigger platform. When I got cancelled for the stupid joke I made while playing Fortnite, I didn't respond immediately. And there was so much pressure to respond as soon as possible. And I didn't because I was like, the minute I address this, this is going to get so much bigger. Like, the minute I address this, I know that my audience is going to take my side and that most people will side with me. The girl who started it is going to get so much shit. So I was like, okay, if I have 500,000 followers and she has, I don't know, she had like 10,000 or something. It's like the minute I talk about this, I am putting a fucking target on your back. And a lot of the people who did come after me ended up having to private their accounts. So it's like a thing that I had to think about where it was like, if I address this, it becomes way, way, way bigger in a way that is actually very negative for a lot of the people who just spoke up about being uncomfortable about a joke I made, which they should be allowed to do. But I ultimately had to because they were so aggressive with me about having not spoken up about it. It's really tough to respond to things. So like, no, if those translations were wrong, I do not think, or right, I don't think that it would be in the best interest of game science to address them in any direction.